Welcome to Pennsylvania. I'm in Philadelphia and I'm gonna go see the Eastern State Penitentiary, prison that was built originally in the 1820s, 30s, and it became a model for over 300 prisons worldwide. We're gonna go in the cell block number 1. Okay, this is a cell, one of the early prisoners who spent here 23 hours a day. And I guess the prisoners were like all kept in solitary.
20 inches of masonry separate each cell.
January 27th, 1835. I discovered that 6 prisoners had been talking through holes made alongside of their hot water pipes.
Eastern State Penitentiary was now the largest and most ambitious prison in the world.
So I'm in cell block number 2 right now. It's so cool, there's hardly anybody here. Oh, so they had a dentist even. Let's see what the cell at Guantanamo Bay looks like. Oh my god, are you fucking kidding me? Ooh, now that greenhouse would work. It is fucking hot in here. Okay, this is a death row section. Complex is really pretty big. This is something that I've read about, that they have this graph showing US rate of incarceration in 1900, 1930s, 40s, didn't even look that bad, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and then in 1990. So they used to imprison about 100 to 200 people for every 100,000. Now it's 650 for every 100,000 residents. The prison population increased by 6 times from 1970s to 2010. Number of people in prisons per 100,000 citizens. Okay, that's interesting. United States is the highest. 655. El Salvador, which supposedly has lots of people imprisoned, it's 600. Cuba, 510. Russians, 360. Belarus, 340. And there are those bad places in the world. Turkey, 300. Those are the places with authoritarian governments. Russia, Belarus, Turkey. Yet they're roughly half of imprisonment rates of the United States. Of course, I'm looking for Poland. It's 197, which is 3 times. So United States has 3 times as many prisoners. And let's look at the going down and towards the bottom. Guinea-Bissau, 10 people per 100,000. Central African Republic, Congo, Guinea, Mali, Japan. It's the one place that I do know it's safe. 40 people. Qatar. Syria has supposedly 60. So it's a 650 people per 100,000 people in prison, which makes it like 2.2 million prisoners in various establishments of prison system. 2.2 million prisoners, which they say it's cost the taxpayers like $80 billion a year. It's fucking insane, isn't it? So at some point, the maximum number of prisoners who lived here was like something like 1,800. Imagine being here at night. They actually have some like extended hours, or there's some events going on for Halloween around here.
Get a magnificent view of the cell block with its 30-foot barrel vaulted ceilings. I think it's one of the most striking places in the prison. The system of isolation developed in this building became known as the Pennsylvania system, and it met with great enthusiasm, especially in Europe and the European colonies. And roughly 300 prisons on 5 continents were modeled after Eastern State Penitentiary. But not all visitors were so well impressed. English author Charles Dickens wrote that the 2 sites in the United States he most wanted to see were the Falls at Niagara and the Eastern State Penitentiary.
Police recognized Capone and searched the 2 men.
They found that they were both carrying an unlicensed, loaded .38 caliber revolver. Within 12 hours of their arrest, the men were given the maximum sentence, 1 year in prison, for carrying concealed, deadly weapons. You can see that conviction on Capone's intake card. It's abbreviated as CCDW.
What's ironic, though, is that while the courts were trying to be tough on this famous gangster, the prison officials here at Eastern State seem to have been surprisingly generous.
Notice the newspaper article with the headline, "Very comfortable," says Capone in luxurious cell. Now take a look at the cell on your left. We've restored it to look like that newspaper account.
The whole room was suffused in the glow of a desk lamp, which stood on a polished desk. On the once grim walls of the penal chamber hung tasteful paintings, and the strains of a waltz were being emitted by a powerful cabinet radio receiver of handsome design and fine finish.
Newspapers reported that on the day of Capone's release, 500 people lined the streets. They were to be disappointed. Warden Herbert Smith had transferred Capone in secret to the State Correctional Institution at Graterford, and he was released on schedule and without incident from there. In 1931, Al Capone pled guilty to tax evasion and prohibition charges, and spent the next 7.5 years at the federal penitentiary in Atlanta and at Alcatraz.